I see how it is. You're sending me into the arena to do battle with Snail Games yet again. Well, don't worry. I'm prepared for them. I've got my oversized iced coffee and double salt shakers at the ready. And we're going to be taking a look at the last 2 weeks for Snail Games because it has been interesting. You can't see me, but I am air quoting like a boss here. Interesting for Snail Games as they prepare to transition from Ark Survival Evolved over to Ark Survival Ascended. Now, I found some information back on August the 1st. I reported on it. The community kind of ran with it from there. And since then, we've received some additional financial reports and filings from Snail Games. And from what I am seeing, there are serious red flags buried throughout this document. Welcome back to the channel. This is LtBuzzLitebeer, and I appreciate you tagging along today. In case you haven't yet done so, please hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. I'm going to do my best to include chapters for easy viewing, and here we go. Okay, so let's start this one off with a portion of the 8K SEC filing that I previously reported on, posted by Snail Games back on August the 1st. And this is kind of what sparked the discussions throughout the Ark community. 3 pieces of information you need to take away from this portion of the filing include, number 1, Marbis does business as, so DBA, Nitrado, and you know them as one of the available server hosts for Ark Survival Evolved. Number 2, Snail Games currently owes Marbis roughly $1.05 million for the server hosting bill for the months of March through June 2023. And number 3, Snail Games has entered into a financial agreement with Marbis to not only not collect on the $1.05 million due on the server bill, but Marbis is also agreeing to loan Snail Games an additional $3 million in funding. So Snail now owes Marbis $4+ million US. The reasoning behind Snail Games needing this additional loan was also stated in this very same SEC filing under Section G. SGUSA, or Snail Games USA, requires short-term financing to fulfill certain of its obligations pertaining to the Ark license agreements and or to publish Ark Survival Ascended. Now, when I initially reported on this, I only mentioned the publish Ark Survival Ascended portion, but there is this second element of obligations relating to the Ark license agreements. And, you know, that could be anything from another upcoming ASE server bill to development fees related to Ark Survival Ascended. Basically, whatever Snail needs to use it for outside of payroll and bonuses to get ASE up to the shutdown window and Ark Survival Ascended out the door. Another part of my findings that was spread through the Ark community was the structure of repayment for the loans from Snail back to Marbis, and more specifically, the dates. October 31st. Now, if Snail can get Ark Survival Ascended out the door prior to October 31st, they will repay Marbis 20% of gross revenue from ASA. If they do not get ASA out the door by October 31st, Marbis is repaid 20% of gross revenue from Ark Survival Evolved. What struck me as odd were a few things in this portion of the filing. Number 1, Marbis was stated as not receiving any interest on their loans to Snail Games. And I've seen some posts stating that Marbis was doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. They knew Snail and Ark were winners, and they wanted to remain a loyal server hosting partner. And in the land of fairy tales, that might be true, but this is the reality of the corporate world. And no company, big or small, loans another company a sizable chunk of money without some sort of collateral or monetary gain. To think that Marbis just handed over $3 million to Snail, plus forgave their current $1.05 million in outstanding debts just because they like them, is absurd. Another interesting item from this part of the filing is that the PC version is the only triggering platform for the release dates. Consoles are not mentioned here at all. Now, what I had missed in this filing was a little further down in Section H. What was Marbis getting out of all of this? Because again, no company loans another company that much money without seeing a return on their collateral, on their loan. And here's where we get to see this exchange. With the loan, Marbis, aka Nitrado, was granted exclusive rights to host servers for Ark Survival Ascended. And I know there's been some back and forth on this matter via Twitter between concerned community members and Nitrado over which servers are hosted, mod support, etc. And I believe I read there is an exception if you outright own the server, but here is the basis for the loan. We will give you X amount of money plus the outstanding server bill. This is Nitrado saying this, but we want the rights to host all paid servers for Ark Survival Ascended. And I've seen this counter-argument floated around that it was Snail themselves who initiated the loan, as in they intended to not pay their outstanding server bill, to force Marbis back to the negotiating table to get better terms. And after reading through this entire financial report and the recent Nitrado exclusive server Twitter hosting post, I've actually come to the opposite conclusion. It was Marbis and Nitrado that saw the opportunity to cash in by obtaining exclusive rights to host the servers. $4 million is a small investment to make if Ark Survival Ascended can right the sinking ship that is Snail Games, because according to the terms of the server hosting, Marbis and Nitrado has exclusive rights to host these servers for years to come. Also for me, there are huge concerns, i.e. red flags, when it comes to an exclusive server host provider in terms of service, performance, and protections. Marbis could get to the point of cutting staff or scaling back server performance because they already have the rights to host the servers. There is no competition, so saving money and maxing out profits could be the natural course of action. I'm never a fan of exclusivity and cutting out competition, because competition drives excellence to improve and to continually improve. Without it, the server market could just become stagnant. Now, this brings me to my final concern, and within the latest financial report, we see two major red flags in terms of Snail Games. The first is their company portfolio, and more specifically, diversification, or lack thereof. Now, I've reported on this in the past, as well as many other content creators, concerning just how many failed titles Snail Games has launched and abandoned, or just launched and failed. They're just too numerous to list out here. But as you actually read this report, Snail Games discloses to you just how dependent they are on the success of Ark. So first, they show you this absolutely massive number. In this case, it's 87.2 million installs of ASE through June 30th, 2023. And to be fair, that's not copies sold, but installs, which I will agree is an impressive figure, and it's there in the report to be just that, impressive. So then Snail can just turn around and hit everybody with the bad news. And here, Snail shows you the truth. 87.1% of their entire company revenue is generated from Ark Survival Evolved. Now, to say that they have all their eggs in just one basket is an understatement. And I've showed you this investment article in previous Ark uploads, advising investors to hold off on investing into Snail Games. And the reasoning behind this hold: the dropping revenue and title concentration, i.e. they're not making enough money and all their income is coming from one source. And here is where Snail Games discloses those very same facts to their investors, because you can lie to the gamer base and you can lie to the public, you can lie to journalists, that's totally legal. But when you attempt to lie to investors, then it becomes a crime. Under the liquidity and going concern portion of the Snail Games investment statement, we are met with the cold, hard truth. The company incurred a net loss of $7.1 million and negative cash flows of $15.2 million for the 6 months ended June 30th, 2023. As of June 30th, 2023, the company had cash and cash equivalents of $3 million, so they're listing out the Marbis loan here, restricted cash and cash equivalents of $1.1 million, and current debt, let me say that again, and current debt of $9 million. That's not a good start, but wait, it gets worse. As of June 30th, 2023, the company's 2021 revolving loan and 2022 short-term note of $6 million and $2.9 million are due in December 2023 and January 2024, respectively. Management intends to renegotiate with the lender to extend the maturity date of the 2021 revolving loan. However, there is no guarantee that management will be able to renegotiate the terms of the 2021 million revolving loan with its lender on terms acceptable to the company or at all. Additionally, management plans to repay the outstanding amounts under the 2022 short-term note pursuant to the terms of the 2022 short-term note agreement and to secure an additional debt arrangement. Currently, management expects that the company will not be in compliance with its quarterly debt covenant for the 3 months ending September 30th, 2023. So they're projecting into the future that under their current projections, they're not going to be in compliance with their quarterly debt covenant. Management is working with the lender to resolve the expected non-compliance with the debt covenant. And here's where Snail Games gets as real can be, because you can lie to everyone in the public, but you cannot lie to your investors and continue on as a publicly traded company. Listen to this. The company's recent net loss, levels of cash used in operations, debt obligations coming due in less than 12 months, potential need for additional capital, and the uncertainties surrounding its ability to raise additional capital and renegotiate its debt arrangements raise substantial doubt about its ability. And when they say its ability, they mean Snail Games' ability to continue as a going concern. So what they're saying is they have substantial doubts about Snail Games' ability to continue to keep the doors open. The unaudited, condensed, consolidated financial statements do not include any adjustments that might be necessary if the company, once again Snail Games, is unable to continue as a going concern. And then in this last portion here, Snail Games compresses this down into a raw, unfiltered statement. In order for the company to continue operations beyond the next 12 months, so for the next year, and be able to discharge its liabilities and commitments in the normal course of business, the company, meaning Snail Games, must reestablish profitable operations in order to generate cash from operations by increasing revenue or controlling or potentially reducing expenses, renegotiate the terms of its debt arrangements, or obtain additional funds when needed. And those are the cold hard facts, ladies and gentlemen. That's the underside of Snail's shell. They are in debt. They have no sizable incoming revenue and are eyeing October and the launch of Ark Survival Ascended as their D-Day. The rest of their portfolio cannot save them because, as I've showed you, currently over 87% of their revenue is tied solely to Ark Survival Evolved, which, by the way, is underperforming. And these are all huge red flags. And here's one more. I've studied dozens of these financial reports in the past and from multiple publishers. And during these live calls, there is always a prepared public statement from members of the board, followed up by a live QA session with investors. Now, I'm not going to play this most recent call for you, but the moment the prepared statement is over, they just end the call. They didn't even bother asking for questions. Why? I mean, it could be that they wanted to take those questions privately, but I've never seen a public investors call terminated in this manner. Ultimately, do I want to see Ark fail? Absolutely not. It means the world to so many gamers, and based on those player counts, it is a popular title, but the way this game is run in terms of management, budgets, and planning is downright terrible. And that's why I continue to push back against Snail, because the players deserve better. Snail has to sell Ark Survival Ascended like hotcakes to get back into a positive operating budget, and they've mortgaged the entire farm to try to get to that point. Giving up exclusive server hosting rights is just one small piece of this journey. Now we know why Ark Survival Ascended went from a free UE5 upgrade to all sorts of different paid bundles. Snail was and is out of money. And knowing that Ark 2 was always their end goal, they are using the sales of Ark Survival Ascended to effectively crowdfund that project into existence. Now, I could keep going on and on about all these additional red flags being raised concerning Ark Survival Ascended being launched into early access. How a remaster or rework, whatever you want to call it, of an 8-year-old game is not launched live is beyond me. With early access, Snail and Wildcard have carte blanche to do as they see fit. If they decide not to deliver all the content, or they decide not to handle the technical issues, they can use that designation of early access as protection. I know this one ran a bit long today, and all the legal jargon can get a bit mundane, but it was really important that you get a clearer picture of what is happening with Snail Games and why. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are greatly appreciated. All my socials can be found in the video description. Shout out to the now over 137,000 of you that have taken the leap and hit subscribe. And a special thanks goes out to my patrons and to those of you sending over those YouTube super chats. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer signing off.